My name is Dave Pottinger. I'm the president of Bonus XP and the game director for Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics. That's a turn-based strategy game coming out later this year that's set in the Dark Crystal universe. It's built as a core tactical game that should appeal to all the people who love tactical games. We're excited with all of our strategy experience to finally be able to work on a tactics game. So it's a project of two loves for us, hardcore turn-based tactics and the Dark Crystal. We're excited to get it in front of you guys later this year. We are an intimate sort of Final Fantasy Tactics style game. Into the Breach is another, kind of small map, small unit tactical game from recent years. For us, we're going back, to that and really trying to modernize the feel and the aesthetics. We've got a job system similar to Final Fantasy Tactics, and figuring out how we bring that into, kind of a modern UI experience. Also for us, terrain is a big deal. Dynamic terrain, things that can be modified during battles. Bringing some fun kind of RPG elements to it too. Based on how you've chosen your party and who you've put onto the battlefield in a given map, then that's going to change the choices you're making with which doors you're going to open. And we have this really cool lever and door mechanic that you can decide kind of how you face the forces on a level, and you can close them off or you can leave them both on, and that'll change out how the level plays out. So those choices while you're playing the level, and sandstorms that change the height and things like that are going to be fun ways that we can change the terrain while you play. The third thing is, while we are a core tactics game, and that is our first and foremost focus, we are doing everything we can to appeal to people who haven't played the tactics games before, as long as it doesn't trump being a great tactics game. So with the Dark Crystal property and being able to work in a world like that, we know we're going to bring in people who haven't played tactics games before. And so even though we want to be this core tactics game, we're doing everything we can outside of that to appeal to people who are familiar with tactics products at all. The enemies that are on the map, a good chunk of them are pre-placed. They will, as you level up, some of the maps will level with you, some of them won't. There'll always be something that we think you can beat on the world map to pick from, just so that you can always make progress if you're stuck on a harder level or something like that. But then we also have this system we call arena maps. So as you kind of work through the different areas of the world map, you unlock these different clan-specific arenas, and those will be challenges that you play through repeatedly, each with a different challenge every time. The enemies will change on the battlefield, and you'll unlock new and better rewards with a really awesome reward by the end, a really important piece of gear that you can't get anyplace else as the reward for those arenas. And then of course, it wouldn't be a tactics game without some procedural content. So we've got these encounters that will roll for you, some hard, some easy, as you play through the game, and to be able to reuse some maps, but also the content of the enemies will scale with you in that capacity. We are coming out as the official game for season 1 of the new Netflix series Age of Resistance. So that story is in there, but we think about kind of widening that out. So while that story is in the game, it's less than half the content in the game, and so there's all these other nooks and crannies that you can dive into. We haven't done a full kind of new player playthrough in a while, but we think the players will end up spending 20 or 25 hours playing through the main game, and at that point you can continue to play the procedural content or the replayable content, go finish off all those arenas, or you can start a new game, either a new game or a new game plus that lets you carry over a little bit of content and start playing with some new rules. We are talking about a permadeath mode. That might very well be what happens in New Game Plus, but right now we're playing 3 difficulty levels: experienced, normal, and what we call story mode. Story mode is for people who really don't want to die. It will, to be honest, be a horrible game for tactics players that are experienced if they jump down to story mode. It's a much shallower experience. You'll be trying to set up combos across different turns, and you'll probably end up killing the enemies before you get the combos to pop. But for a regular tactics player is going to want to go in at normal or experienced to get the a real great tactics game. So Dark Crystal Tactics, we've got 20 player characters that we'll have available by the end. It'll take a lot of work to unlock them all in a single playthrough, but most people probably won't, so they'll see some of them on a second playthrough, things like that. We're still working out the exact split, but there'll be 3 playable races. Gelflings, which are, of course, the main race in Dark Crystal. Fizzgigs, kind of a lovable ball of teeth and hair. And then podlings, which both the Fizzgigs and podlings are going to be have some different jobs than the Gelflings. The Gelflings will share 12 jobs. They'll be arranged kind of on essentially a job wheel, and each Gelfling will start with a primary job, and then they'll kind of work their way around the wheel if they want to go broad, or they can kind of plow into the center of it if they want to go deep and become very, very specialized. And each of those jobs will have 8 to 12 different abilities. And so when you pick your primary job, that'll define your stats, the look of your character, and that's where the bulk of your abilities will come from. But then you'll be able to pick a secondary job and kind of subclass so that you can mix and match and create something that, between all of that and all the gear that you equip in the gear model, something that people will be able to make their own.